I don't believe that there are any introverts or extroverts. There are only people that have behaviors that relate to one or the other.
Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we discover the fight for freedom, fulfillment, passion, and purpose. Your host is Curt Mercadante, Gallup certified strengths coach, an agency founder who is dedicated to coaching individuals seeking to level up their life and their businesses. The Freedom Club is about unlocking your talents, turning them into strengths, and crushing your objectives. You can learn more at curtmercadante.com. Welcome to the Freedom Club.
And welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast. I'm your host, Curt Mercadante, and it is today, the 4th of July, Independence Day here in the United States of America. Happy freedom to everyone across the United States. I want to thank you so much for being here today, whether this is your first time listening or your 41st time listening. And I'm going to ask you for a favor today. If you like what you hear today, if you've liked what you've heard over the course of however many podcasts you've listened to, please stop by and give us a happy, good, favorable review or rating. That's like currency to us. It allows us to continue to grow our listenership and bring our message of freedom and fulfillment to thousands more people every time you leave a good rating and review. So thank you for that. Now, the voice you heard at the top of the podcast was once again Michael Truong. He's an influencer, speaker coach. He's founder of Empower Voices. And today you are going to hear the third installment of our wonderful interview. Today, Michael is going to get into detail about neuro-linguistic programming. And again, Michael is all about empowering yourself by finding your voice. And so he's going to talk more about how NLP allows people to do that, how he works on it with his clients. And without further delay, here is the third installment of my interview with influencer speaking coach, Michael Truong. I'd love to segue now into NLP, which stands for, and I'm going to screw this up, Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
That's absolutely perfect.
Is it? I was going to say processing, but I think it's programming, right?
It's programming. That's correct.
So we got into this a few months ago talking about it. I'm an idiot because now since we've discussed it, I see NLP popping up and I'm like, oh, this was a big thing. I didn't even know about it, right? But let us know, what is it? How did you get into it? And how do you work through it with your clients?
Yeah, actually, no, that's a great question. It's something that I fell upon as well. I mean, just like everything else, it's a framework really for helping, manage behavioral change. And, when you say that from that perspective, that means that there are so many different ways that NLP can be used. It's just a framework. You got to think of it from that perspective. So it can be used for your coaching when you're helping people change and, think differently. You can help people who want to help, like myself, who want to help people release their voice, their inner voice, and be able to empower that voice to be able to change the world. And that's, to me, is important. It's for people to just get out of a rut. What do you say to somebody to be able to affect that change? How do you listen? And listening is probably the thing that I've been so laser focused on lately. And what I mean by that is I prefer to listen than to talk. And I know this is your podcast, and I'm really just playing to your audience because I really want to help, right? I really want to help your audience, and I really love talking to you. But the truth is that I love to listen. I really like to ask questions because you start understanding why people think the way they think. It's really interesting to me. I'm so interested in knowing about the insight over information, because insight is, Curt, why do you care about helping people? You were in politics, and did all this stuff. You have a great career, and you had a great business and all that kind of stuff. Why do you really care about helping people? Is it for your legacy, for your children? Is it, just empowerment for yourself? Is it, something else? Like, why do you care so much? And I know that word why sounds like it's overly used, but that why is so important on why we do all the things that we do. So for me, it's about understanding the beliefs, actions, and behaviors of people and why they feel that they don't have a voice. Here's something that I want to share with you. I don't know if you've heard this before, but I don't believe that there are any introverts or extroverts. There are only people that have behaviors that relate to one or the other. And we are behavior-driven creatures where we do it consistently enough that you start to think a certain way, you start to believe a certain way because you're comfortable in doing those things a certain way. So here's the thing. We are all introverts as we are children. No kid likes to go out there and do a speech automatically. No one, so sure, some of them are like more outspoken, they're more fun, that kind of thing. But you put them in front of a stage of 10,000 people, and I guarantee you everyone will freeze up in the very first opportunity. The difference is that how many times have you put yourself into that experience that will actually change your behavior to be able to do it better over time. And for me, neuro-linguistic programming is about understanding what held you back in the first place. I told you those stories for a reason, because I want to like set the stage, pun intended, of where I sit, like why I was afraid of being social when I was younger, why I was told to shut up, or those kind of things. It wasn't because my father was bad. He's a great man. In fact, he's the one I look up to all the time. But I understand now why he communicates that way, because he was under so much pressure to survive. And so that, he had to just get to the point of everything. He was just black and white, yes or no, and that kind of stuff. Whereas humans, the interaction we have is not black and white. The way that we help people change and understand and believe about themselves is really about experience. The experience makes all the difference. Why can't we all just say, just smile and you'll be happy? First of all, physiologically, that doesn't work. And then the second thing is that we all have different experiences on why we got to where we are. So neuro-linguistic programming gives me that framework to be able to help understand the language that we use, understand the dynamics of change and what holds us back, and start asking the right questions and literally sit back and listen.
Interesting. When you're talking about the introverts versus extroverts, as a strengths coach, we go through, every human has 34 talent themes, and talent themes I like to refer to as untapped superpowers. We all have them. We all have muscles, but people turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger when they start exercising those muscles, or they're not, and so it's a matter of using those talent themes intentionally to turn them into strengths. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because there are certain strengths, and everyone has them. So if some are lower, it doesn't mean that they're weaknesses. It just means you don't call on them as much. And so there's some like individualization, maybe relator, that lend themselves into more of a one-on-one. Relator might be when you go into a networking event, you immediately drift toward the people you know or know well.
Absolutely.
You have you have really strong friends from high school that you stay in touch with, but not a whole lot of others, Other people are different. Maybe if they have something called woo, which is winning others over. It's kind of, you walk into the networking room and you're like, I am here, that's everything.
Yeah.
So I had a client, and when you talk about those experiences that shape us or people, actually there's two clients that I think about, but one in particular, he kept saying, well, no, I'm an introvert. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm shy. But he had these themes that were more one-on-one. And he's like, that's not the case. I don't deal with people well. I don't deal with people. But he had this relator and individualization. So we started exercising those. Mm-hmm. And as we did, we realized, well, those talent themes had been repressed for years, maybe because a parent, a teacher, a coach, somebody, a boss had told him, you're shy, you're an introvert. And so he just would work in his little cubicle or his office. So it got to the point where he would get up at lunch, and, once you start exercising the muscle gets bigger. You got to get to the gym, right? He'd go do his grocery shopping on his lunch hour just to interact with people, have one-on-one interactions. Right. So that's immediately what I thought of when you said that, because people had reinforced a notion within him that wasn't naturally him. Mm-hmm. And that happens to so many people.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk to ourselves more than anyone else talks to us. And when you start to use those language patterns to make yourself believe that you have certain limitations, you are the God when it comes to like breaking limitations. So I don't have to preach to you, but I think that this is the truth for me, myself, which is when I have limiting beliefs, it's because of the words, patterns, and everything that I say to myself internally that limits me. So when I release that, unlock it, talk to coaches and talk to friends and family and the people that support you, that break those beliefs, then that's all that you need to do is have the right language patterns for yourself to change your concept. Instead of saying, I mean, again, I actually say this so many times to every single person, Newton's third law, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So instead of saying, I can't do this, to say, I can do this, right? I mean, it's not about fluff and hokiness. It's about really saying, I can do it, but how do I do it? Like, one of the things that they always teach you in like management training is stop saying, can't, and, change it to how, or like, that kind of thing. Change the word how. That's all you need to do. These words are so powerful.